I'm Scott Fishman,
I'm John Dwoskin.
and this is the 7-Minute Salesman.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey, Johnny, what's up?
Fish, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. It's a beautiful Sunday.
I know it is. I'm looking outside right now. I can't wait to get outside. So, how's your week been?
It's been hectic and fun. I cannot complain, and that's one of the great things in life. If you can't complain, you're having a good life, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Fish, what should we talk about today for our loyal listeners?
Well, I think something that it's, we hear it a lot. You're not doing enough, John.
Mm-hmm.
You can do more. And I think as salespeople, we definitely always can put a little bit more effort out there. But sometimes we really don't either get the direction from our leadership as to what we should do, or don't have an idea of how we can do more, because we've found success in the past doing what we've always done, but we're not growing. And so we need to figure out how to get on a growth path. And I think that's the whole gist of what I want to talk about today, is what we can do to expand ourselves, grow our business, grow personally, grow our muscles if you're going to the gym, shrink your muscles and your fat if you want to lose weight, but the things you can do to actually get ahead and get to the next level. Because if whatever got you to this level today, you need to put forth something to get to that next level.
Yeah, I love this topic about building your muscle and stretching yourself. I'm a big believer. I think a lot of times people get in their own way. We've talked about that a lot on the show, and they get really stuck in their ways. And I find sometimes salespeople get to a point where they're very black and white, and they need to be very gray, and they need to get outside of themselves as they build their muscle, and they need to look in a different mirror with different lenses. That's why, as you say, sometimes they don't have the leadership providing them. It takes a really strong leader to put a mirror in front of salespeople to get them to reach their potential.
Yes, absolutely. So there's I'm going to come clean on something, and this is almost embarrassing. No, it is a little embarrassing. So when you and I are the same age, when we were like 13 years old, there was a commercial, it was a Reebok commercial, and it had this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Mm-hmm.
A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. And that commercial was all about being unique, being different, almost like that old Apple campaign, think different, but being your own person. And I took that to heart, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to follow, the way everyone else is going. I'm not going to be a sheep. And I've lived my life that way. You know me very well. That's, it's been my mantra. And, I always thought about that. And then just recently, I re-engineered that, and I've been re-engineering a lot of sayings, and I think it's because of the founder of the company I work for. A lot of the isms that he has are like, he says, you'll see it when you believe it instead of you'll believe it when you see it. So there's a lot of things that I've been re-engineering, like everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, but also everyone gets punched in the face until they actually have a plan.
Right.
So if you think about just engineering these sayings, so I said, listen, a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. It sounds a lot to me like that definition of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So I started thinking to myself, I've lived my life like this, and almost by accident, found some success. But maybe what Ralph Waldo Emerson was saying was the same thing that Einstein said when he defined insanity.
Yeah, that was some deep shit. I loved it. But I agree with you, Fish. I agree with you because I see so many people doing the same thing and expecting different results. And I think a lot of times it's really not as far away from them as they think. Right. And although change may mentally feel difficult, I think it starts with mindset. And they got to change with mindset. So maybe let's give some tips how we can get people to start shifting their mindset to evolve and just kind of shake themselves out of this pattern that isn't working for them today.
Right. And I also want to make one thing blatantly clear. The pattern, whether it's whatever you're doing, it may be working to provide the paycheck and commissions that you have, that you're getting, that you're happy with. But I know that everybody wants to grow. So we need to get to that next level if we do want to find that success. If you're okay making the same thing month in and month out, I don't know why you're not in a salary position, but you need to maybe rethink this, or just continue doing the same shit you're doing over and over again. But at the end of the day, you have to, step one is taking ownership of this. And realizing that your leader isn't going to come to you, your manager isn't going to come to you and say, John, you know what, I need you to do this many calls to a prospect. I need this many visits. I need this many this. They're not going to give you the specific direction always. They're going to sometimes just give you that blanket, John, we're going to need a little more from you. Yeah. And shame on them for doing that. But at the end of the day, we are the masters of our own domain here. We need to figure these things out. And that's step one. Yeah. Realizing that it's you.
Yeah. And I want to add a little bit to that, because realizing it's you, and you really got to go inward and tap into some inner awareness here, because pardon me, I got a little cold, but you got to tap into you have got to become more aware and stop pointing fingers. So I think there's like a syndrome there where it's much easier to point a finger than it is to be aware. So if you find yourself pointing fingers at whomever, then you got to point it back at yourself. And if you have a leader, like we were talking about earlier, that isn't there for you, then get your own mentors, get your own leaders, get your own coaches, buy something online of somebody that can, listening to a podcast, listen to a book on tape, find an author, find a speaker, find somebody that's going to push you outside of your limits. Because I just want to comment on what you said earlier about, you may be happy with your paycheck, and that's true, but things are only getting harder. There's more competition every single day. I think we've talked about some of these stats. By the year 2025, 75% of the workforce will be millennials. By the year 2030, 80% of all jobs that exist in 2030 don't exist today, which means the next decade, things are going to evolve and change. There's going to be more competition, different ways of thinking and doing things. You've got to always be growing, or you'll wake up one day and you'll be 10 steps behind. Yeah.
It's like a tree. You're either growing or you're dying. So it's true. If you're just going to do the same shit, there will be attrition. You will shrink without even knowing it.
Right. And it's that old story about the frog in boiling water, about complacency. If you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps right out. If you put a frog in tepid water and slowly boil it, it gets really comfortable and complacent, and then it gets boiled to death. Sorry for all the PETA people on the phone, but it's true. Like, we cannot be complacent.
John, I think it might work with humans too. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Well, it's the same thing, right? When you jump in a freezing cold pool,
right.
It's a shock. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I've never boiled a human, folks, for the record.
And I don't think, I'll speak for you, I don't think you plan on it.
So, Joe, what are some steps that we can take in order to flex our muscles and get this growth that we're talking about?
Well, one, I think you got to really zoom in and take a look at how you're spending your time. Most people spend way too much time doing certain things and don't know how to compress time. So I think one of the first things is look at what you're doing and see where you can compress time. I think something that just sticks out to me, which I see all the time, is I see a lot of salespeople who make a lot of calls, but they don't prep their calls. So they're not looking at, okay, on Sunday, I'm prepping all the people I need to call for the week. So they spend 10 minutes looking for a number on Monday and then calling that number, looking for a number, getting that person's website up, and then calling that number. So something that should take literally a minute or 30 seconds takes them 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I think that prepping your calls and understanding who you have to call, prospects, the clients you need to talk to that week, are critical, because that is such a time waster. And if you compound that over time, it's equivalent to absolute months.
Right. And it's business masturbation. It's, I'm sitting here, hey, John, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing research. I got a call in an hour. So you're going to spend an hour on this person's website, looking at their alumni page on their school, Facebook, whatever you're doing. You're going to spend an hour researching this person, and then you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to dial, and you're going to get their voicemail.
Yeah.
And so you literally spend 1 hour and 45 seconds on this one prospect that you could have spent 45 seconds on.
Yeah.
It blows me away. I see that
blows me away. I just want to go back one more second about ownership, because I think one of the things is mindset and going. I think mindset is 80-90%. The ownership of mindset, because I think going in knowing that, hey, I am going to commit today to cutting everything I do by 25% and be more effective. I'm going to commit today to pushing myself. I'm going to commit today to letting somebody else push me, and really having that in place.
I like it.
Yeah. So like if I have a leader in place, I want to go proactively to the leader, which I think many salespeople need to be more proactive, and say, hey, I want you to push me on X, Y, and Z this week, and push yourself. You got to mentally push yourself.
Yeah. The more people that you tell your goals, the easier it is to be held accountable, the more embarrassing it is.
Yeah.
Like I'll share something stupid, but I've been doing this keto diet for a year now. And one of the things that is like a guilty pleasure for me is a Coke Zero. And I know that Coke Zero even is not good for you.
Right.
It's a little bit better than Diet Coke, but maybe by a hair. So I actually told the guy I sat next to at work a while back, I said, if you see me drinking a Coke Zero, just give me a dirty look or say something.
Yeah.
And literally it works, because I found I was going to the machine. I'm like, I'm going to get a Coke Zero. And then I'm like, no, like, it's so embarrassing. I don't want Lee to know I failed.
Yeah.
So, hey, shout out to Lee over there. But yes, I didn't want Lee to know that I failed. So yes, the more people that you share your goals with and let them know what you're doing, it's the accountability factors there. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. What about you? What's another thing?
Well, I think just kind of as far as the doing and putting a plan in place, there's a couple different methodologies here. And one, if you just take the idea of building muscle in the gym, like you'll say you bench press 140 pounds. So that's your maximum. You're not going to come in and bench 300 pounds the next day. It just doesn't work. You have to get there. You have to build up to that. So let's say you have a number of 50 contacts per day. Maybe on day 2, you're at 55. Mm-hmm. Day 3, you're at 60. Ratchet it up. Slowly ratchet up each of your goals. And that's a great way to actually build up, and you can show yourself what's possible. But I do have a challenge for folks as well, because physically it is impossible to double your bench press in a day.
Yeah.
But sales does not require building muscle. Sales requires building different kinds of muscles. Your effort muscle, your mind muscle, your voice muscle, because you sometimes might lose your voice when you're in sales. But you can really blast and get from that 150-pound bench press to the 300-pound bench press in a day. You just have to push yourself. So instead, you can either ratchet up your goals, which is fine, and I think that does work. But I also challenge folks out there, double, triple, quadruple what you do in a day and fit that all into one day, and you'll be amazed at how far you can go. It really is. Like, you'll find yourself not taking a smoke break, smokers. You'll find yourself not taking such a long lunch. You'll find yourself not kibitzing with the person next to you at work. You will find that you can actually achieve a hell of a lot more in that day, and you'll probably be ashamed of yourself for all the time you've wasted over the last several weeks, years, months, whatever it is, not doing the right things and not working on building your business muscle.
I love that. I love everything you just said, and just the whole idea and the challenge of committing to a new rhythm for yourself and a new pace. I think that's great. This story. I remember I worked at Quest Communications for like a year.
Yes.
So I worked there. The very first day I showed up, they said, everybody go around the room and say something, say something funky about yourself, introduce yourself. There was a lot of new people starting. And so I enjoy my mornings. I like kind of getting in early, doing my thing. So I happened to be the first one because I was sitting next to the manager. So I said, hey, my name is John Dwoskin. Something funky about me. Please don't talk to me before 9 a.m. So, I like to come in early, get my work done, and just not be very social. And so I thought it was like, whatever, no big deal. Like, so if, and everyone in the room was looking at me like, who's the
who's the new fucking asshole? Right. But when you talk about kibitzing and this, that, and the other, like I have always done my best to, and I'm not far from perfect, but to protect my time.
Yeah.
So I can get a lot done. And so I think, that's maybe an extreme. I don't know if I would have done that again the very first day, but we have to protect our time and know when we need to hyper focus and when we have time to kibitz.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you're stuck in that rut, then maybe you give yourself like at 55 minutes past the hour until the next hour, you give yourself that 5 minutes. You actually schedule kibitz time instead of casually moseying around because you have FOMO or something of that nature.
Right.
But one of the things I have found, I just read this book, Riches Flow Easily to me. It's unbelievable. I have like a couple pages left. And it's all a book about internal mindset and how when you change your internalness and your mindset, the external universe brings you so much more. It's one of the best manifestation books I've ever read. I loved it. But one of the things it talks about, which I started implementing into my day, is it talks about if you are a worrier or you worry about anything, schedule worry time. And so if you schedule 5 minutes of worry time, then when you start to worry, just say to yourself, I'll think about that at XYZ time, and then move on to something positive so it doesn't drag you down and you're not attracting negative things from the universe. So I actually tried it, and I actually put it, you know how I am about my to-do list and my calendar. I put it in my calendar in the morning when I wake up before I meditate, 5 minutes of worry time. And I swear to God, Fish, it's been like, 2 weeks. It has been a game changer for me. And so the reason I bring it up is because I had never thought about, and I coach and teach on time management, to actually schedule time on worry. But it's been great. And so when we look at our schedule, right, when we talk about the kibitz and this, if you want to kibitz, but schedule it. Right. And maybe that takes away some of the fun. And I'm not saying to be a robot and be rigid, but schedule things that are going to make your life easier so you can be more productive and do what you think you can.
Yeah. John, I love it. I'm actually thinking about this and my brain is spinning as we're talking, taking your schedule and actually taking your calendar and flipping it. Like, if you look at the average person's calendar, there's a lot of white space, right?
Correct.
And what's white space? That's dick around time.
Correct.
It's like, gosh, I can't wait to get done with this meeting so I can go to my desk and do nothing. Gosh, I can't wait to get, my prospecting block done so I can get back to doing nothing. Like, literally, white space on your calendar is nothing. So what if your whole calendar was just flipped and you just told yourself, I'm going to work all day long, aside from the parts that are like, my kibitz time is almost over. My worry time is almost over. Like, my lunch time is almost over. Now I'm just, everything else, all the white space should be grind. I love that.
So I do this training, seminar, keynote, control, own, protect your time. And I talk about that, Fish. I talk about how to become a student of your calendar, and not just your calendar, but the white space. So I'm so glad you said that, because it is. And the more we become a student of our calendar and zoom in on stuff, then we can be so much more productive. And when I heard the thing about scheduling worry time, I thought, how fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Like, why let, because worry to me, like, sometimes will pop in throughout the day. And I'm not saying it's completely gone, but I have for 85% of my worry that are like mishigas, that shit's never going to happen. I just say, I'll think about it, at my worry time tomorrow morning. And then a lot of times it just like goes in, like, I forget about it because it's like a non-worry worry. So, but it was such a brilliant concept that I just feel like if people can do exactly what you just said and what we're talking about today, schedule your vices into your day, and then schedule the hard working stuff that you need to do to move your business forward, to get an extra deal or 2 or 3. All you need is a couple extra deals to make some money.
Right. So the next time that your leader says, hey, we need a little bit more out of you, let them know that you're getting a little bit more out of yourself. Take control of this, folks. figure out where you can ratchet these things up or figure out how to blast your day. You can definitely do more. Pull out your own calendar, take a look, pull out your own metrics and say, you know what? Here's what I did yesterday. Here's the whole screw around time I had yesterday. I could have gotten this many more dials done. I could have contacted this many more people. I could have stopped in this many more offices. I could have sent out this many more proposals. You can do more, but it's on us as salespeople to actually do it and execute on this. No one's going to make it happen for you. No one's going to do it for you. You have to actually take ownership of this. It's been a theme that we've talked about recently. Take ownership. It's on you. It's on us. Let's make it happen. Do it yourself before someone else is doing it for you, or do it yourself before your company finds some AI to do it for us all. Please.
I love that. I love that. Well said, Fish. I think I think you gotta. I agree with everything you just said, and I want to end with one quote. I was at Joanna's grandmother's house last night. She's 94 years old. She's unbelievable, and she had a quote on her refrigerator. And she said, "Hey kids, just come look at this quote." It was a quote by Albert Einstein. She's 94. Life is like riding a bicycle. In order to keep your balance, you must keep moving.
That's great.
And what you're talking about is you got to keep moving forward, and growth will come. So well said.
Yes, folks, season 12. I have to say, this episode, more expletives per minute than any episode before, more Yiddish per minute than any episode before, and more quotes per minute than any episode before. We hope everyone enjoyed it.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Now, no excuses. It's time to put everything you listen to into action. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop listening and doing nothing with this information. Take this information, implement it into your day, kick some ass, grow your business, grow your sales, make more money, have more fun, have a better life, period, the end.
What he said.